It's Twitter Tuesday on today's LockedOn Giants podcast. Your questions coming up next.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. Patricia Traina here with you. It is Twitter Tuesday, so that means we have your questions on deck for the show. They take center stage, as they do every week. We do it once a week, so thank you to everybody who sent in questions, and also thank you to everyone who makes the Locked On Giants podcast their first listen of the day, or if you're watching on YouTube, your first watch of the day. And speaking of YouTube, if you haven't already subscribed and liked our channel, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me if you would do that. Trying to get to 5,000, because look, if I get to 5,000 subscribers, I've got a giveaway planned for you guys and gals. So, and it's not just for my YouTube people, it's also for my people who listen over on the audio platforms. So please subscribe and like that channel. I really want to do this giveaway sooner than later. So fingers crossed we can get there. All right. As I mentioned, we have your Twitter questions. We have about a dozen or so here. All right, let us get right into your questions. We're going to do the Twitter questions. We have about a dozen of them, as I said. First one comes from Dr. Moore 1976, who says, what are your thoughts on dealing out of number 7 for the Saints 16 and 19, and what other sweetening would you need? Sweetening, let's see. Diamonds are always appreciated. A pair of good seats to see Kiss at the Hartford Xfinity Center in May. Let's see. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. From a football perspective, what sweetening would I need? You know what, DR, I have always said right from the get-go that if I am the Giants and I'm going to trade down from number 7, I want a first-round pick in next year's draft. I think I mentioned this on yesterday's show, as a matter of fact, but if you missed it, there are 5 teams that have multiple first-round picks in next year's draft, which is supposed to be a better draft for quarterbacks. If I'm the Giants, I want to join them, just in case I have to move up. Now, again, doesn't mean that the Giants are going to sour on Daniel Jones. I mean, I hope Daniel Jones balls out and they don't have to worry about trading up for a quarterback next year. But if you have the 2 picks and you can keep turning them around and getting more picks down the line, why not? You know, it's kind of like that famous bakery out in San Francisco. I think it's called Boudin Bakery. And supposedly they use the same yeast starter for all their sourdough bread. And they've been using the same starter for years. So I kind of look at it as, you know, with draft picks, if you get multiple picks in the first round and you don't necessarily need them, or you want to like flip them to get more picks the following year based on the players you're going to lose to free agency or whatnot, then do it. I mean, you know, to me, it just makes sense. I think that's how Cleveland did it when they built up their roster. I think that's how New England has been doing it for years. So there's a method to that madness. And I would like to see the Giants join that train, if you will. So thank you for the question, Dr. Moore, 1976. Appreciate you. All right, up next we hear from Bradley, 2010, 2017. If the Giants are really convinced on one certain offensive tackle, say Neal, any scenario where they move up to make sure they get the one that they want. Bradley, I doubt it. I really doubt it. You know, there's a few things here we're talking about. Number one, to move up, you're going to have to give up draft choices. And they're not one offensive tackle away. So they have a lot of needs, and I don't think I would want to see them give up, you know, a haul to move up. The other thing, Bradley, is they're going to need about $12.5 million to sign what they have or what they're supposed to have as of this recording, the 9 draft picks. You move up and that number's going to increase. So, look, if you're the Giants, you put down on your board the 5 players that you like, or in this case, the 7 players that you like, and you rank them, and you just see how the board falls, basically. If the offensive tackle that they like, for example, is Evan Neal, and Evan Neal goes off the board, well, then what's your plan B? How close is, say, for example, Charles Cross grade-wise? So, sometimes you can get away with that if the guy you want gets taken, and just so long as you're not reaching for somebody at that spot and panicking. That's the last thing you want to see. So thanks for that question. All right. Next question comes from C. Wills of 845. And he wants to know, how far do you think David Ojabo will fall, and could he be in the Giants' plan for the second round? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how far he's going to fall. I know, he's got the injury and whatnot. Could he be in the plans for the Giants? You never say never, but I'm going to say in this case probably not. Because if the Giants can get a guy like, I don't know, Leo Chanel maybe there, or maybe get a different edge rusher, maybe even get, who knows, maybe they'll luck out. They'll get an edge rusher in the first round, or, and then a linebacker in the second round. You want guys to come in, I think, and make an immediate impact. I don't think the Giants roster is such that they can afford to redshirt a guy like Ojabo, who, look, he's going to be an excellent player, but this kind of reminds me of the situation with Jalen Smith a few years ago. Jalen Smith, I think, blew out a knee, if I'm not mistaken, during his pro day, or it might have been during a game. And Dallas took a flyer on him in the second round. Basically, they redshirted him, but Dallas had a pretty strong roster. The Giants don't have a strong roster, so I don't know that it would be a good idea to take David Ojabo, say in the second round, for example, and redshirt him, even though, everybody's optimistic that he's going to be okay. I just wouldn't do it given the state of the Giants roster. That's just me. So, all right, this next question comes from Texas Wine Lover, who wants to know, many people say this year's draft class isn't good for quarterbacks and next year's is. What are some of the quarterback names for next year's draft we should be waiting for? All right, this one I had to look up. I got to be honest with you, because quite honestly, I'm not looking at 2023 in any kind of great depth. But I did want to see what names are out there. Amongst the names include Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and this is from Pro Football. What is this? The Pro Football Network draft guide. So let's see. The top 2 quarterbacks right now, again, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. I think Stroud is from Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. And those are the 2 guys right now who are the very early favorites for the Heisman. Let's see. Bryce Young is Alabama, by the way. Let me see who else is listed here. Spencer Rattler, South Carolina, is another quarterback name. Jake Hayner from Fresno State. Let's see. Jaron Hall, BYU. And then let's see. These are tier 3 type guys. You've got Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. You've got Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. Will Levis from Kentucky. And DJ Uiagalelei, I hope I said that right, from Clemson. So those are just some of the names. Just, it's so early, to be honest with you, but the feeling that I get from kind of, looking at some of this stuff is this is going to be a deeper class as far as, whereas this class doesn't have a clear-cut consensus number 1 pick, next year's class probably will. So I think that's why people are saying that. So thanks for that question. Appreciate you. All right, Giant fans, we've got more coming up right after this. All right, Giant fans, we have more coming up on today's Twitter Tuesday. But first, there's only one place that's the best information source for the latest odds, contests, and player props for all your sports betting needs, and that's betonline.net. From basketball playoffs to baseball, hockey, UFC, boxing, the upcoming Triple Crown, you name it, and betonline.net has you covered. BetOnline.net is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head on over to the website today and learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to the LockedOn Giants podcast. I am Patricia Traina, and you've got me here on a Twitter Tuesday. I am answering your questions. And before I get back to the next group of questions, I want to just tell you a little bit about what LockedOn NFL has coming up for the draft, which, by the way, is getting here pretty quickly. I mean, before you know it, it will be here. So anyway, starting Thursday, April 28th, you want to tune into the LockedOn NFL Draft's live coverage. That's right, live of the 2022 NFL Draft with all 3 days of real-time analysis from our extensive lineup of experts and insiders. And for those of you who are dying to know who your team will take, catch Audacity and LockedOn NFL's mock draft special, hosted by Brian Peacock and former scout Matt Williamson of Peacock and Williamson NFL show all week leading up to the first pick. All right, now also we have a mock draft. The 32 NFL hosts all submitted their choices for mock draft picks. I, of course, made the picks for the Giants at 5 and 7. I couldn't find a trade partner for pick number 7, so I made 2 picks. That mock draft is available on the Audacity app as well as wherever you find your podcasts. And I believe it's on YouTube as well. That's going to kick off April 18th, and that's going to run April 18th through the 22nd, and then it's going to wrap on the 25th. So make sure you check all that stuff out. Really excited to see that. We put a lot of work into that, and we think you're going to enjoy it. So check that out. All right, let's go back to your Twitter questions, shall we? All right, let's kick this segment off with one from Chris Malapores. Ekwonu has expressed an interest in left tackle. If Ekwonu gets drafted at number 5, could Andrew Thomas be moved to right tackle? You know what? I wouldn't rule that out. I mean, I don't know that I would want to see that because Andrew Thomas seems to be settling in at left tackle, but, you know, yeah, it's a new system, but here's the thing. Flipping Andrew Thomas to the right side, now he's got to learn all new landmarks. He's got to, get comfortable stepping off with the opposite foot. There's a lot of change involved there. I mean, I would think if you're the Giants, you don't want to necessarily have to make that move. And above all, if Ekwonu doesn't want to play right tackle, well, he might not have a choice depending on where he gets drafted. I thought I even saw some places where they said that maybe he might get kicked inside the guard. So, I mean, look, bottom line is, I don't think the Giants would upset the apple cart and move Andrew Thomas inside or to the other side. I don't think they would, but you never know. One of the disadvantages I have right now is we haven't had a chance to speak to the coaching staff. I mean, we did speak a little bit to Brian Dable at the start of the month for the off-season program, but we haven't had a chance to speak to Mike Kafka or any of these coaches. So I don't know what the plans are for what they are thinking of doing. So as we get a little closer, to the mini camp, I think that's when we'll get the coaches and I'll be able to shed some more light on all that stuff for you. So, but thanks for the question. Appreciate it as always, Chris. All right, next is Empire PR Man. If the Giants trade down, pick number 7 instead of picking a cornerback, Do you think they'll keep James Bradberry? And if so, how do you think they'll rework his contract? All right, Ruben, as far as reworking his contract, hop on over to Giants Country because I've laid that out. And that's kind of, without having the charts to show you, it's kind of hard to verbalize. Remember, I also have to put audio out for our listeners on the audio platform. So I want to make sure everybody knows where they can go to find that. Do I think the Giants will keep James Bradberry? Is there a possibility that they can keep him? Yes. If they do, they are going to have to do something with that contract. And whether that means putting an extra couple avoidable years on there so they can extend him. I call it the Brandon Myers effect. And I wrote about that over on Giants Country where the Giants years ago, I think it was 2013 or 2014, I forget which year it was, but they were really squeezed tight against the cap, and they signed Brandon Myers to what was really a 1-year deal, but it had 3 voidable years, and that was to help them spread out the signing bonus so they could be competitive in signing him. So that's what I could see them potentially doing with James Bradberry. Not what you want to do, because now you're kicking the can down the road and just stretching out the dead money. But hey, listen, I could see that being the case, and I don't think that's what they want to do, but if they have to, they will. So, all right, thank you for that question. All right. We have another question from Dr. Moore, 1976. If Icky and Neal are available at 5, should we trade down to a team wanting a quarterback, knowing one of them will be there at 7? Depends on how they have it graded. I mean, would I do it? Sure. If it means I'm getting that extra first-round pick in 2023, I'd do it in a heartbeat, I think. So absolutely, But again, it all depends on how the board falls. I'm going to say that a lot between now and the time the draft comes up. I know a lot of you guys are putting scenarios out there for me, and I appreciate it, but it's all in how the board falls. All right, next question comes from CTazo384. Will we be picking in the top 5 again next year? I don't know, Citazo. I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone next year. I mean, let's get through this year and we'll figure it out. To sit here and to say, oh, the Jets will be this and the Jaguars will be that, and, what will the Giants be? I mean, let's see how this year comes up. Let's see if they get hit hard by injuries. Let's see, how Brian Dable puts everything together. I mean, there's so many variables. I'm not really worried about next year, to be honest with you. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, Giant fans, we have a few more questions left on this Twitter Tuesday. We're going to get to those coming up next. All right, Giant fans, we have more coming up on today's Locked On Giants podcast, a Twitter Tuesday edition. But first, with the ever-increasing number of makes and models, there's only one place to find what you need quickly for your car or truck, and that's at RockAuto.com. Rock Auto is a family-owned business with over 20 years of offering competitive pricing on thousands of parts for every make, model, and manufacturer. Check out their website today, and don't forget to write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so that they know we sent you. RockAuto.com, amazing selections, reliably low prices, and they ship direct to your door. All the parts your car or truck will ever need at RockAuto.com. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to the Locked On Giants podcast. I am Patricia Traina, and it is a Twitter Tuesday. And before I get into these final questions, I just want to update you on the schedule, some of what we have planned for the rest of the week. I mentioned on yesterday's show that I was working to get you an interview, and I am getting that interview. That interview is going to be with NFL.com draft analyst Chad Reuter. He and I are going to, or we're scheduled to speak on Wednesday, so that means that'll be Thursday's show. And the other thing, folks, I put out a note on the YouTube channel because the YouTube channel has a community bulletin board there, but I'm going to say it here on the pod, especially for those of you who are listening on our audio platforms. If you guys would like for me to do another live show on Friday, I need some topic suggestions. I mean, I did a mock draft with Nick Filato last week. I floated the idea of a salary cap show, but I don't know if there would be any interest in that at this point. So if you have an idea for a live show and you want to see a live show, especially on YouTube, that gives you guys an opportunity to participate and interact with me as I am doing it. Let me know what some of the topics are. I mean, even if we don't do a live show before the draft, maybe we can do something afterwards. Maybe we could do, I don't know, a mailbag. We could do my impressions from the rookie minicamp. I mean, there's any number of things we could do, but I need some ideas. I want to know what you guys want to see and be a part of, because look, without you, I don't have this podcast. I don't have the YouTube channel. I don't have anything related to this job. So let me know what you want to see and or hear. All right, folks, let's get back to these last few questions. Jorge Blanco writes, we all love to bash Gettleman, and he deserves every bit of it, but what would you say were his best draft pick move and best free agent signing during his tenure? Draft pick? I think you can make a case for Andrew Thomas. You could probably make a case for Azeez Ojulari. You could probably make a case for Xavier McKinney. I don't think I can pick just one from that group. His best free agent signing. I guess you can make a case for Graham Gano. You might make a case for James Bradbury, even though that contract was kind of bloated, but they still got a Pro Bowl season out of him. You could make a case for Blake Martinez, who was really good for the Giants at that inside linebacker spot. I know I'm staying recent here because that's all I really got for you. Who else could I make a case for? I think that's probably it. That might be it. So, yeah, let's just go with those picks. How's that? Okay. Thanks for that question. All right. Mike Weiss, 78, is back. Does a 2024 first round draft pick interest you if we can't get a 2023 back for the 7th pick? In that scenario, Mike, no, it does not. I want a 2023 first round pick. Like I said before, it's kind of like that old, yeast starter thing that I mentioned as part of the Boonton Bakery, where, every year they keep, at least this is what I've heard. I don't know if this is true or not, but you keep using it and you keep recycling it and you keep turning it into new products, new bread. Well, if the Giants have an abundance of draft picks, they can trade them every year and adjust according to what they need on the roster. So no, I don't think I'd want to skip from 2022 and then just go right into 2024. I don't think that I would want that at all. So no, that doesn't really interest me. All right, Huckleberry N asks, who are the trading partners in this year's draft in hopes of getting a 2023 first in return? Basically any team that needs a quarterback, I would say, and who thinks that this quarterback class is worth taking a gamble on. Now, on Twitter on Monday night, I did post a tweet. Actually, I retweeted Jordan Schultz's tweet that said that I believe it was the Saints are eyeballing Malik Willis and I think Kenny Pickett were the two quarterbacks they were eyeballing. So that's a potential trade partner, I suppose, if they wanted to trade up. Now, are the Panthers eyeballing a quarterback? That I don't know. But if word comes out that they are, then maybe the Giants are sitting pretty at number 7. Maybe they can trade down. But the question is, if you're the Giants, how far down do you want to go? I don't know how far down they would want to go, but if I were them, I probably wouldn't go too far down in the first round. But that's just me. I tend to play conservatively, so. All right, thanks for that question. All right, one more we've got from Easy Does It, who asks, Easy Does It 5, my bad. Do you think Barkley can produce close to his year 1 numbers if the Giants can make sure he gets more receptions in the coming season? Okay, I'm assuming you are talking about all-purpose yards. And yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, if Barkley is healthy from that ankle sprain that he had last year, he'll be 2 years removed from the torn ACL. Why can't he go back to producing, what he did as a rookie? I mean, I'd like to think that Dable and Mike Kafka are going to come up with a better system than what the Giants had, running under Jason Garrett. That this coaching staff is going to figure out how to optimize Barkley's talents. So yeah, I could see that happening. I mean, again, you got to remember, I tend to be optimistic. So unless there's a piece of information that I know of that's going to get in the way of my optimism, I hope every player goes and balls out. I mean, that means they're going to win, and that means my job's going to be easy on Mondays, which is what I want. So thanks for that question. I think, let me just check real quick. All right. Yeah, that's it. We have gotten through all the questions. So, as always, folks, I want to thank you for sending in your questions. And don't forget, if you got your question in late, you want to send a question for the Giants Country mailbag, you can do so. Just pop on over to Giants Country and click on the section. I think it's Big Blue Plus, and you can send, it tells you where you can send the questions to. I think it's nygiantsmaven@gmail.com is the email address. So this way I can circle back and get your questions if there's something pressing on your mind that didn't get answered on the podcast. So anyway, that's going to do it for us today on the Locked On Giants podcast. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you listening. Again, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you receive notifications if you are watching on YouTube. Thank you for making us your first listen or watch of the day. And remember, you can find us wherever you get podcasts free of charge. So subscribe and like our podcasts. Until tomorrow, everybody, have a great one.